Well, I am sure you all saw what happened this weekend. Was it a surprise? I don't think so. What do you think, Hermes?
Definitely not surprised at all. WOTC, I think we need to talk. Vivi Cauldron and our current iteration of Mono Red Aggro are just the latest decks in the trends in card design, and it's creating a really miserable format again and again and again.
Yeah, with everything going on in Standard, there's a ton of tea to spill. I never would have thought I said, I think it's better to play Modern right now over Standard. But let's get into it, Rebels. This weekend, we had 674 participants in the latest Spotlight Series event at SCG Con Orlando. We saw pilots from across the world come through for their chance at glory, armed with a deck that has become the most dominant deck in Standard of recent memory, or whatever they thought could beat it, or that they could afford. I don't think any of the other decks in previous Warped formats come even close to the dominance that is Vivi Cauldron. And while just under 200 pilots came armed with the wizard, we had another 90 players choosing Dimir Tempo as their preference, rounding out our top 5 presence decks as Azorius Control at 54 pilots, Mono Red Aggro at 35 pilots, as for Pixie at 17 pilots, just to start day 1.
Oh boy, and day 2 was a real doozy. The day 2 stats really are something else. 86 of the 159 players who made the cut to play all 15 rounds were Cauldron pilots. That's 54% of the day 2 meta.
Yeah.
The next most popular deck was Mono Red Aggro. It actually shot up a few spots, which honestly shouldn't surprise many, including us. We also had 18 pilots that made day 2 on this red deck. And rounding our top 5 is still the rest of the top 5. Dimir ended up having 14 pilots, Azorius Control with 9, and both Esper Pixie and a tie with Temur Battlecrier for 4 pilots each. Now that's spicy. Really excited about that deck. And honestly, it's pretty sweet to see a good showing for it. And it was a deck that I wasn't super high on before, but I think I'm a believer now.
Yeah, for sure. You guys called us out in the comments for the last Monday's videos. We're like, hey, no love for Temur Battlecrier, and that's definitely on us. That, I think we would have, smashed that, but it wasn't in the Frank Karsten list, which is kind of where we focused on. But obviously, Vivi was definitely the most dominant deck, but we definitely called it with Mono Red being a solid choice as well. Hermes was like, hey, this deck, it does what it does. It's fast. It doesn't take a lot of endurance. You can definitely push through these really long events with that deck.
Yeah, and honestly, like it did before, the teching main deck cards that are usually sideboard cards into the best matchup, pretty much a recipe for success. And I'm just going to go ahead and move over and talk about conversion rates. So for those who are less familiar with this, conversion rates basically mean how likely are you to get to the next day, which is your chance at, Pro Tour, Cash, Glory, all that stuff. Lets you extend your tournament from 9 to 15 rounds. So it's a really important metric to hit. And looking at that day 2 conversion, Mono Red really was the most successful deck with just over 50%. It was 35 to 18? Really, really, really close to 50%, which is really good. Cauldron was also fairly dominant at 43%, also really high, exceptionally high for a deck with a target on his back. After that, small sample size, so keep it in mind, but Temur Battlecrier had 36%. Really, really good showing there. And then the average, given the size of the tournament, was about a 24% conversion rate. Pixie hit that on the mark, and then everyone else was below. Notable numbers are Dimir at 16 and Azorius at 17%.
And looking at our top 8, it definitely reflects the successes of these archetypes. Cauldron sent 6 players into the final bracket, and Mono Red sent the other 2, which I'm really upset that we had the Mono Red team kill. I was like, come on, it can't just all be Cauldron, and then they had to fight it out. But
silver lining, it meant we did not have an all Cauldron top 4 like we did at the arena chance.
That is
Thank
correct.
goodness.
That is correct. But the highest place for the next archetype is Daniel Fournier's Azorius Control, getting 14th. And that was also the lone outlier in the top 16. As the rest were all the two aforementioned decks, and against the odds, like I said, it was one of the Mono Red pilots who took down the whole event. And congrats to Brennan Roy on the huge win! Yay!
Yeah, huge win. Congrats. We are so happy you took down the Wizard in charge, but
yep, you
Wizard
did it.
is still very much in charge.
The hero we needed. We love an underdog.
Yes. And realistically, doesn't this look pretty familiar? A red deck with main board tech for a dominant Izzet deck in the format that tends to play a lot of spells every turn. I guess when we don't learn from history, we're just doomed to repeat it. While yes, we had rotation and a bunch of banned cards, the most dominant deck was still a Izzet Vivi deck. Instead of being spells, it was a Cauldron deck. And, you know, it just wins through multiple game plans, hard to hate out, all that good stuff. And honestly, Mono Red, once again, had the tools to be able to counterbalance it. Last time, it was Magebane Lizards in the main. This time, it's Razorkin Needleheads in the main.
Yeah, this definitely feels like deja vu, cis, girly pop, wizards. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, B, I'm kind of curious what you think's going on behind the scenes with the current competitive play card design, because good lord, it is a bit skewed, I would say.
I definitely think that Wizards of the Coast, the R&D team, are really trying to sell their cards, and so they're designing cards for Commander and not necessarily for the 60 card format, because everybody wants to play their favorite character from these different Universes Beyond decks as their Commander. And because Universes Beyond is selling for so much money, they're putting out more cards, you know, set after set after set. Just look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man wasn't even supposed to be a full set. It was supposed to be an aftermath like set, but because
it was supposed to be like Assassin's Creed was last year.
Yep.
That undersold, so
because it did so poorly, they were like, well, I guess we're just shoehorning standard into, or Spider-Man into standard. But what do you think, Hermes?
You know, I mean, obviously agree with you, design for Commander. I mean, you saw the article about Nadu. Everyone saw the article about Nadu. They try and design for Commander. They feel it's too underpowered. They then rush through, don't do enough testing, and then it just absolutely breaks formats. And realistically, if you're building a set designed for a format, that format should be the one you think about the most. You have Commander products for a reason. You have the collector boosters as well for a reason. And I'm also hot take. I think they've been pushing red for quite a while. Looking at the last BNR, we had 3 out of 7 cards that were red on that list, plus Leyline and Resonance banned in Best of 1. So in Standard, half of the cards banned are red. You also look at, I took a quick deep dive into bans that happened since the last RCs, as well as the Pioneer RC as well, looking into the bans that happened just before that. So about a year of bans. There were a total of 18 different cards banned, and red is at the most with 7. Next highest is black with 4, so nearly double. You know, you have Gigantha that literally goes in every deck. You have Amped Raptor letting you play a 1 ring on turn 2 for some reason.
I know, that was... Don't remind me of the dark times.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
Yeah, fortunately Modern's better now. But, I mean, even so, the Bloomborough Mice package was running amok in Standard. We did ban its best payoff and enabler in Heartfire Hero and Monstrous Rage. But, you know, like, there's so many power-crept red cards, and Wizards keeps doing stuff to it. Not even to mention Underworld Breach was finally fully broken in Modern and had to be banned like it is in every other format.
Yep. Yeah, no, I really think that we are going way too fast And it doesn't help that we just have such a huge card selection. There's so many cards right now in Standard. We're going to find the broken decks. And Wizards just needs to calm down on the power creep. We can't keep having all of these 1 mana pushed spells, especially in red. And, like, it's just making Standard stuff anywhere. We literally had our, like, team meeting today, and we're like, I think we're all just gonna focus on Modern because Standard is kind of just not fun. And I mean, it shows this SCG Con had one of the lowest performing attendance out of all the SCG Cons. Like, usually these things are completely sold out, absolutely filled. Like, we're looking at like 15 to like 1,200 players at the main event. This one only had like what, like 600, maybe 700.
Yeah, 674. It was, unfortunately, Indianapolis was only marginally bigger, but that was in the Modern format, and frankly, Indy was really hard to get to.
Yeah.
Orlando's much easier to fly to.
Oh, absolutely. But after all is said and done, this is the Standard season for the rest of the year, most likely. And as far as we can tell, there aren't any cards previewed so far that can knock King Cauldron off of its pedestal.
While, still hoping. Emergency out of cadence ban, please. Help the format. Make it interesting for the rest of the RCQ season, because it is going to be long. Last 4 major events, at least half of the top decks were Izzet Vivi decks. And I think we have to accept that the format is going to sit pretty solid for the most part, and people are just going to be playing Cauldron or decks that can run that absurd amount of hate that the Mono Red deck can to beat Izzet Cauldron.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, it doesn't help that a handful of the top performing decks in Standard right now are quite expensive for a rotating format. If you look at Modern right now, Belcher, Ruby Storm, my favorite, Izzet Prowess, and Mill are all under $500, which is nearly the same as Standard Azorius Control, Battle Crier combo, and Esper Pixie. Kinda crazy to see Modern and Standard have a chunk of lists with similar prices. Like, where Modern is a eternal format. These decks are here to stay for the years to come, unlike Standard.
Yeah, good lord. There's cards that are going to be going. Granted, we have a little more than a year with them, but still, they're going to be going at some point. And what's even better is Modern's actually absurdly balanced right now. Oh yes, Boros Energy is the most played deck at the moment. Is nowhere near the winningest, because it's actually pretty spread out across the board.
Yep.
It's modest 15% of the meta, is still not taking home a ton of challenges. The format's really wide open, with 16 decks at least 2% of the meta according to Goldfish, and Standard only has 8, which is pretty suspect.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy we have the Modern RCs coming up to test for in September and October, right? Yes.
And November.
And November. No, October and November. Editor, fact check that for me. But yeah, really excited to get the team together. This week we're going to be testing a bunch of Modern, doing some Standard challenges. So maybe look forward to some Modern content coming up from us at the Rebel Tea House.
Yeah, who knows? And honestly, when the format is this healthy and also reasonable to get into, maybe it really is a good time to get into Modern. We actually had a few of our friends on our team who haven't been able to get into Modern recently did end up rounding out their collection to get full decks. They didn't even have to spend more than like $200, which is really, really good for them. And they're learning those decks, and they are kicking butt.
Yeah, it's like, especially because Izzet Prowess is like has so many Standard cards, and our teammates, we all have the playset of Slick Cut Show Off and Corey Steelcutter, and they're not that expensive. I think the most expensive cards in Prowess is the land, but even then they've all been reprinted. Like Modern right now, everything's being reprinted and things are getting printed into Standard that are so pushed and so good. They are viable in Modern in a format where I can win on turn 2 with Ruby Storm. Like, that's how pushed these cards are being printed. I think it's insane.
I mean, Quantum Riddler makes a splash in Izzet Cauldron. It also makes a splash in the Bounce deck and the Flicker decks, Blink decks. Excuse me, Bounce. I'm still Standard brained right now. But yeah, the Blink decks, which is archetype I really like personally. They play, I've seen 2 to 4 Riddlers in the main deck, and it does a lot of work with Ephemerate, Felia, and Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, just like there's so many. The fact that there's standard cards that are just dominating. Pioneer is basically like copy paste at this point, right? For the most part. But modern, we're seeing those archetypes being taken from standard into modern. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a Vivi Cauldron, Is It Prowess, or Ruby Storm deck list going out there around. Like, someone just needs to crack it. Like, these cards are that good.
Exactly. But you know, just as much as we love modern, it really is time to wrap up the show for today. Thank you for joining us, Rebels. Please join the conversation down below. Tell us what you think about the conversation today. What do you think about the event? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of spicy words and takes. Let me know if you think you might have cracked the code to beat Cauldron. We'd love to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, all the typical YouTube stuff. Please like, share, subscribe, and check out our other shows. I know the ones coming up this week will be all about the Spotlight as well as the larger meta. But until next time, cheers!
Cheers.